Hello guys, hope you're doing great at home. It's me again, Mr. Oshiko Dennis. And before we start, if you're watching this video for the first time, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is Resen Academy Kiminini. Now, without further ado, let us move on, and I'm going to continue from where we had stopped, that is last time. Now, we are still talking about forestry. And remember, we talked about what a forest is. We talked about both natural and planted forests. We have also looked at the problems affecting the forests in our country. Now, last time round, I gave you two questions. Maybe to help you answer the questions before we start our lesson today. The first question was, what is afforestation? Now, what is afforestation? This is the answer. Afforestation is the act of planting new trees where none existed before. Remember, it is the planting of new trees where none existed before. Second question was, what are the problems affecting forests in your community? Now, in your locality, I believe you have forest, isn't it? Now, these might be the problems. Maybe forest fires, maybe pests and diseases, maybe an encroachment of human beings into the forest, among others. So I believe that you did the questions and you actually gave out the right thing. Now, here on the chalkboard, as you can see, I have written effects of deforestation, and that is what we are going to cover today. Effects of deforestation. But first of all, we have to know what deforestation is. We want to look at the effects of deforestation, but we have to understand what it means by deforestation. Now, when you speak of deforestation, this is a situation whereby you realize that trees are being cut down or destroyed without the replacement of new trees. When trees are being cut down or being destroyed without being replaced with other new trees, that is what we refer to as deforestation. You say it is the act of cutting down or destroying trees without planting new ones. So an action whereby trees are being cut down or destroyed without planting new ones, that is what now we refer to as deforestation. And remember, these trees can be cut down for various purposes. Maybe they want to acquire firewood, maybe they want to acquire charcoal, or maybe they want to acquire raw materials for the paper manufacturing industry. We also have some people who cut down these trees because they want to acquire more land for agriculture or settlement. And you realize that if new ones are not planted, now that is what we refer to as deforestation. Now let us go through the effects of deforestation. Now remember, we say that when you speak of effects, effects can either be positive or negative. Effects can either be positive or negative. But you know that with deforestation, we have a variety of negative effects rather than any positive effect. Now, as you can see, when trees are being cut down without being replaced or without planting new ones, we will have quite a large number of negatives rather than positives. Now, let us look at the negative effects of deforestation. Negative effects of deforestation. Negative effects of deforestation. Now, deforestation has very many negative effects. And we're going to start with the first one, that is number one, which is soil erosion. Soil erosion. Soil erosion. erosion. Now, what is soil erosion? We all know that this is the carrying away of topsoil by either wind or water. Now, when you look at trees, trees have roots, and the roots of the trees, they help in holding together the soil. So, what happens is that when these trees are being cut down without planting new ones, you realize that the land will remain bare. That means the soil will be easily exposed to running water or blowing wind. And by that you note that there will be a higher rate of soil erosion. You also note that because there are no trees, we have these droplets of rain on the surface. Now you realize that by that, as long as the droplet hits the ground, you note that erosion is also taking place, and you know the effects of soil erosion. So that is negative effect number one of deforestation. When trees are being cut down without being replaced, you realize that soil erosion takes place. Let us move on to effect number two. That is effects that are caused by deforestation. We have silting of rivers and dams. Now, some of you might be wondering, what does it mean by silting? Now, this is it. When erosion is taking place, okay, let's talk of maybe the land is bare and water is carrying the topsoil. Now, you realize that some of this soil is deposited, that is in the rivers or the dams. So the deposited soil in the rivers or the dams, what happens is that it actually rises the level of the riverbed. It rises the level of the riverbed. Now, let me use an example. Wake up early in the morning, take your cup of tea. Ensure that the cup of tea is full. Now, what you do, take a spoonful of sugar, then add in your tea. What do you note? You will note that the tea will overflow. Some of it will end up being poured out of the cup. Now, that is what happens when you speak of soil being deposited in the rivers. You note that the level of the riverbed actually rises. So, if this level rises, what if rain comes? Floods will take place. And you note that due to that, many people will be displaced and they will not go or keep on with their economic activities. That is because of silting of rivers and dams, which is brought about by deforestation. Let us move on to effect number three. Effect number three of deforestation, we also look at some tree species become extinct. Some tree species become extinct. Extinct means that not in existence. Now, an example is the Mau forest. Recently, the government has actually been displacing or actually ensuring that people who have occupied the area in the Mau forest move out. Now, this is because they are trying to, let's talk of maybe to protect the rare species of trees. Now, you note that some of these trees might end up being destroyed, and eventually there will be no existence of those trees anymore. So what happens is that you realize that this one is brought about by deforestation, whereby these trees are not in existence anymore. That is because of deforestation. Those are the rare species of trees that we have in our country. And you know some of these species. We have species such as the Meru oak, we have the Elgon teak, we have the ebony. These are very, very rare species of trees. So when deforestation takes place, that is, these trees are being cut down without being replaced. And you know that their seeds are very rare. You realize that there will be no existence of such trees again. Let us move on to the next effect. That is effect number 4 of deforestation. That is interference with the water cycle. Interference with the water cycle. Now, trees help in the formation of rain. This is what happens. You note that there is a process which is referred to as transpiration. Now, what happens is that you realize that the water vapor released in the atmosphere, eventually it it goes up there, condenses and form rain-bearing clouds. So these rain-bearing clouds are later on released as droplets of water, which is now referred to as rainfall. It happens again whereby now when it rains, the water is absorbed by the ground, absorbed by the roots, then later on you note that transpiration takes place. So that's what we refer to as the water cycle. It is taking place whereby these trees releasing water vapor. Or let me go to Kiswahili kidogo. Unapata ina release maji. Hiyo maji inaenda ina form mvua. Remember ni maji in form of air. Hiyo mvua ikinyesha tena huu mti unanyonya maji yale tena ina release. So you realize that is the water cycle. Now what if these trees are cut down? You realize that the water cycle will be interfered with, hence there will be no rainfall. We also have that is destruction of water catchment areas. Destruction of water catchment areas. Now, very many rivers have their sources in forested areas. So when these forests are cleared, you note that the water catchment areas will be interfered with. That means many of these rivers might end up drying up. And you know that they are very important to us as human beings. They help us carry out very many activities. So if this deforestation takes place, you note that there will be a great destruction of water catchment areas. And lastly, we have the interference with the carbon cycle. Interference with the carbon cycle. Now, what do you know about photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process through which plants make their own food. Now, during photosynthesis, you realize that plants take in which gas class? It takes in carbon dioxide. Now, if these trees are not available, who will take in the carbon dioxide which is actually released? Because we do release carbon dioxide so that we can get oxygen from the plants. So you realize that oxygen is being used up by human beings or animals, but you realize that most of the carbon dioxide is not used up by the trees because they are not available. So the excess carbon dioxide leads to what we refer to as global warming. This is a sudden rise of temperature within the Earth's surface. That is within the ground surface and the upper atmosphere. Hope you've gotten my points clearly, class. These are the effects of deforestation. That is when trees are being cut down or destroyed without planting new ones. Go through them, master them, be able to look into them in further details. Now let me give you an assignment and I want you to write this down. I'm not going to write on the chalkboard. This is your assignment. I want you to think, if you were a leader, what measures would you take to ensure that deforestation is not experienced in your locality? If you are a leader, what measures will you take to ensure that deforestation is not experienced in your locality? Have a nice day. We will meet later. Goodbye.